always looks like a Figma with like a flow chart. I always make those as well, so it's clear for everyone in the team. But I don't know how you think about it, but whatever you have, let's give it so that the AI has it.
I'd also
Yes.
like to expand on that and add kind of the nuance with crypto marketing, right? Is so much of the community is involved. So, how much of this was planning and coordination, Charlie, versus reacting lifetime to whatever the community is saying and riffing off of that? I'd love to understand how you think about this when you are both campaign planning and executing in lifetime.
Yeah. So, in terms of campaign planning, so we as a company have quarterly company goals, and one of those goals is always a marketing goal. It's always like some kind of momentum storytelling piece, just because we know at the top level. So our CEO Alex will sit down at the start of every quarter and go, here are three goals, major goals for this quarter. One of them is marketing. Everybody needs to get on board with this goal, no matter what your department is, no matter your level, how long you've been here. Like, this is the goal. And I will sit down with people and I will connect with the other teams to be like, okay, here's the strategy. Here's how you fit into this strategy. And here's how your role in this strategy is going to be very crucial. And this could be like someone from ecosystem, someone from, working on partnerships or growth, or someone on the product side. And we'll sit down with them. We'll go, here's what we need. And here's when we need to buy. And here's why this is so important for you. And this is why it's going to contribute massively to this kind of end piece. And we can use we'll use the campaign of the fundraising announcement for this. So that had almost all teams involved, even though most people wouldn't think it does, because we released a video. So we had to sit down with product and go, okay, so how has this rolled out over the past 3 years? And what were the stages for this? And we sat down with our CTO to be like, okay, is this the cohesive story of what happened? Is this how this went? And then we'd sit down with all the founders and go, okay, now you need to record all your audio for this. We'd then go over to legal and be like, is this fine? Is this the cohesive side of it? And then we bring in ecosystem to go, okay, how can we interject our partners in this so that we can amplify them as well? And all those moving parts would happen. And then at the end, marketing is just essentially like tying that bow. And we would go, okay, now we've met this company goal. We'd show it to kind of the executive team and be like, here's the kind of finalized piece. And here's what we're going to build around it as a marketing campaign. So the previous half of the campaign is purely just bringing the entire team together to kind of bring this piece together. But the marketing campaign is something completely separate. So we would look at it from, okay, so we have this piece now, we have this in the chamber. The most important part about this now is going to be distribution. Distribution is all that matters right now. And then we can focus on the other parts later. So we'd look at, okay, who do we want specifically for PR? We work with our PR team to go, we want these very specific outlets and we want these specific journalists to work with. They understand this space. They have a track record of writing about similar things. So they have an audience for this already. And we want them to tell this story this specific way. And then we would sit down with our paid media team, because most people don't utilize paid media enough. And we'd sit down with paid media. We'd bring in specific content creators that we know we want to work with, both in Western and APAC, to be able to translate the content across. We'd work with our syndication teams to go, okay, predominantly in English, how can we dub this into different languages and have it distribute out as well? We want to make sure we're getting it in Korean, in Chinese, in Thai, in German, in Spanish, like all the large predominant languages. We want to make sure we're getting it there as well. And then I would then sit down with the community and team and say, okay, how can we create a sticker pack for this, emojis for this? How are we having this so it can be mimetic? What templates can we provide? How can we have it be this way? And then we'd sit down with our influencers and those people and go, okay, we want to have this kind of verbiage. We want to have this kind of language. You need to do these things within the first 3 hours, otherwise it won't hit the algorithm. You need to do these specific areas as well. And then for the executives, we obviously have like investors, we have ecosystem partnerships, we have liquidity providers, market makers, all these kind of what I would call like institutional or, token industrial complex areas of people. And I would create distribution lists and say, here's a stump speech. You need to send it to everybody on this list. There's about 200 people on this list. You need to one-on-one reach out with them. And you need to say, hey, here's this, why we're releasing this. Here's why it's important. And can you please support us on this? Can you engage with this piece of social? Can you amplify it? If it's one of our VCs, you need to write your own thread or blog, and you need to be part of the syndication process. And then we release it from there. But that announcement piece, which is the campaign here, like there was maybe like 10 weeks of prep before that, and it's only a 90-second video and a social post. So most people think marketers just throw something together in a week, but this one fucking video took 10 weeks of time and 10,000 messages to pull together. And then you have, it's, as we all know, it's only important for 24 hours, because then in 24 hours, someone else has done something else. So those first 24 hours, and I think the first 12 hours Western, and then you instantly flip over to focusing on the Eastern markets, are where it really matters. And most people don't think to do that shift from Western to Eastern market. So yeah, that's kind of everything that we kind of planned. And
that was an insane off the dome. Like that's the equivalent of like the marketing fire in the booth, like Charlie Sloth in the freestyle booth. Like everyone, I am literally going to look at that transcript and try and make a flowchart from that, Charlie. That was fantastic.